Drivers and Danica, start your engines!
Pull those belts down tight one more time. Warm up those tires. Hit your marks and let's go racing, boys and girls. NASCAR, Indycar, Formula One, Formula E, NHRA, and local dirt track and drag strip racing talk. This is the fastest hour in radio.
Where'd you go? Where's your home? How'd you end up all alone? Can you hear me now? Hear me now.
Here's your host, Steve West and Dustin Harmer, with producer John Myers.
Welcome into the weekend that follows Talladega, and it's I don't know, there's this kind of odd melancholy feeling.
I have no words right now.
I know. I want to be back up in the tower.
We're always sitting there, and it's kind of like, the weekend's approaching. It's going to be here before you know it, and then before you blink, and it's like, wait a second.
Gone.
What happened?
Now, we'll get into the full details of it here in just a couple of seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Right now, let's do all the introductions. I'm Steve West. Across the table for me, Dustin Harmer.
What's up?
Oh, man, what a week, what a week. John Myers over there behind the board. How are you, sir?
Good morning. Doing great, as always.
All right, so you get into it, and for us, knowing that it's our second home, and that's exactly what we call it, because, yeah, we get paid for it, so it's a, quote-unquote, it's a job.
It is the best paid job ever, though.
Absolutely. This is something that we love to do. We love to be able to go, and we love to be able to talk about racing. Obviously, we're doing a 2-hour show this morning, special Mother's Day edition, because of different ways of, companies that decide that they're going to take the weekend off, which I'm all about. Congratulations, Mother's Day. So we get 2 hours instead of 90 minutes today.
Yes.
But that being said, you think about going out there and being able to talk about racing for 90 minutes or 2 hours on the radio once a week, which is what we get to do. We love it.
Yeah.
Twice a year, we get to go out to Talladega. We get to talk about racing to 100,000+ fans that are in the infield and in the grandstands, to a captive audience who is as rabid of race fans as we are.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Don't tell Talladega Superspeedway or the International Speedway Corporation. We would do this for free. For free. The fact that we get paid for it is just a bonus.
Hey, I'm not on board with talking about that. I'll refrain from jumping on with that. But I just find it's great because like you just said, there's 100,000 plus fans sitting out there, but we get paid.
Yeah.
To do the same thing they're doing, but we get to talk about it at the same time. So while
Absolutely.
they're sitting there with their buddy going, man, did you see Dale Jr. pass that car? We're up in the booth talking about it and having a ball.
Absolutely. It's such
and we
a
got
blast.
the best, and we got the best seat in the house.
You
do.
would do it for free. I do it for free.
Well, that's true, too. You do volunteer.
That is a very good point.
and we thank you for doing that as well. Much appreciated. But that said, that's just a pleasure of ours. It is something that's so much fun. And yes, by the time you get to Sunday night and you're able to leave the track, which we left a lot later than what we usually do because of the threat of rain and everything like that.
Yeah, I hope if you're still in the grandstands at Talladega Superspeedway, you need to leave now.
Yes, exactly. The grandstands are made of metal.
Yeah.
So when there's lightning, leave.
No joke. Sunday night, I went to bed. And, of course, I just passed out
Crashed.
cold.
Absolutely.
I woke up in the middle of the night announcing, get out of the grandstands.
We get tired. I mean, we get exhausted. There's no doubt about it. We get done. You went home. You crashed. I drove home. I took a shower, talked with my wife for about 30 minutes, took a shower, and I went to bed. It was like 8:30. And the next thing I know, the alarm is going, hey, wake up.
And you're like, no, go away.
Yeah, really. I'm staring at the alarm going, I'd really like to throw you against the wall right now.
I left there Sunday, got my shower, and then had a date with my recliner.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, you get exhausted, but it is so much fun. It really is. It's a joy to be able to do that.
And to work for such great people out there, getting a chance to work with Grant Lynch and Russell Branham out there and all the fine folks at Talladega Superspeedway, and for International Speedway Corporation just letting us do what we love to do.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't beat that, and to have that team in place that they've got is just amazing.
Yeah, and things are changing at Talladega Superspeedway. There's always something that's kind of being added, whether it's a little. We were talked about this last week. That new little sandwich that they came out with that actually proved to be quite popular, from what I'm being told. to whether they're going to major improvements. And there's word that, Talladega is on that list of one of the next few racetracks to get that major improvement. Will it be a Daytona? Probably not. I mean, they spent $400 million on the cornerstone track of the International Speedway Corporation. I don't think they'll spend that much on a Talladega, but yeah, we'll see improvements here over the next few years. There's no doubt.
Well, I mean, if you remember the show that we had, of course, we were live last weekend out there, but last year's show, October, the fall race, we had Grant Lynch on with us up in the tower, and he said himself, they never stop improving. No. They're always looking for what can we do next to bring great racing right here to Talladega Superspeedway.
As far as the major renovations, that $400 million Daytona Rising thing that they're doing, they're picking tracks and they're going through, and Talladega's on that list, but it's not top of that list, obviously. We had talked about a couple of the other tracks that were up there, which included Phoenix, among others. So at this point in time, they're looking at what they're going to do with Talladega, but the size of Talladega Superspeedway, quite frankly, is something that gives them some pause.
Yes.
Because it is huge. If you've ever been out there, it is an amazingly large facility.
Yeah, it's the biggest, baddest track in NASCAR.
Yeah, and therefore you have to really, really pay attention to exactly what it is that you're going to do and make the plans well ahead of time. So it's going to be a little while. But the experience is only going to get better and better. Yep. And we pray that the racing continues to get better and better as well.
Yes.
That said, let's talk about the racing last week. Starting Saturday at Talladega, the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Really not disappointing when it came to drama, or drama, if you choose.
Drama.
The race went into overtime. It appeared Joey Logano might be claiming the win, and that's when Elliott Sadler jumped up on the back bumper of Joey Logano's number 22 Ford Mustang in an attempt to gain both of them an advantage before finally attempting that slingshot move through the tri-oval and grab the win. Well, Elliott Sadler started it. Logano attempted to block it, and of course that's when everything starts to go boom. And Logano ends up spinning out, slowed Sadler's momentum. He had to get off the gas, drop down below the yellow line in order to gather the car back up under him. When the cars finally crossed the start-finish line, it was Sadler that was shown third behind Brennan Poole. However, you and I had front row seats to this.
Yes.
NASCAR, for reasons no one is really quite sure, considering the fact that they had a couple of football fields before it was all over, decided to toast the yellow flag, despite the incident, again, being about a football field away from the finish line. So NASCAR has to pour through videos showing angles, times, and all determining that the yellow was shown actually while Sadler was still leading the race, which made him the winner. His 41st birthday. Congratulations and happy birthday.
Yes.
And it broke a winless streak that dated back to May 5th of 2014, where he won at Talladega.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Sadler made the move. He set it up, and we see that pass happen before. It worked out well. No crashing involved.
No.
Kevin Harvick versus Jamie McMurray.
Seen that.
We've seen quite a few of those passes there where you don't want to be that guy out front. You want to be the guy that's in second place because you ultimately control everything that's about to happen.
Right.
And Logano just he was too slow to move. He wanted to check up with Sadler, but Sadler made that move a lot quicker.
Yes.
You could tell that veteran-esque in him made that move the right way. So it was great for him, of course, to get the win, but it was also great because now he's with Junior Motorsports.
True.
So he's now capitalized and gotten a win with Junior Motorsports, but just the way that it happened, I feel horrible for Brendan Poole. So bad.
Yeah, because he was the one that rolled through the start-finish line first, and congratulations to him on that. And there was some confusion about it, and I saw posts. You may have seen posts about it. Oh, Brendan Poole actually won the race. No, actually, Brendan Poole didn't.
That's right.
And Brendan Poole is the first person to admit, no, he didn't win the race because he saw the film and he understands the rules. Just because you happen to be the first person to hit the finish line doesn't mean that you're automatically the winner because of the fact that as soon as they throw the yellow, the field freezes. And when the field froze, you had Elliott Sadler, who was leading the race, which brought out somebody else who I know, his name is Brett, I'm not going to give his last name, on Facebook, who said that, by the way, Elliott Sadler was below the yellow line. When you are forced below the double yellow line, NASCAR allows that. If you go purposely below the double yellow line to advance your position, that's disallowed. Regan Smith knows that.
Yes. Well, not only that, but if you were out at Talladega Superspeedway, of course, during all the pre-race stuff, they always give them a chance to see the drivers' meeting.
Yes.
And they clearly tell you in the drivers' meeting about that, about the double yellow line and everything else. And every NASCAR fan out there knows if you yourself go below the line to advance your position and then come back in, they're going to black flag you.
Yes.
You got to give the position back.
Right.
He didn't have that choice.
No.
He even turfed it a little bit.
Yes, he did.
So
yeah,
that's just that. Guess what?
So,
you're a winner. Boom.
Agree or disagree with how NASCAR comes to this conclusion? The one thing I disagree with was them throwing the yellow flag.
And I think everybody out there did. I mean, there was really no cause for it. There's nothing they could do. It was uncontrolled at that time.
Yeah.
It was just going to be a melee anyway. We're used to seeing that's what you see at Talladega Superspeedway is that every time.
Yeah, how many times have we seen in just the time that you and I have been up there? And, I've been up there since 2007. You've been up there since 2012?
2012, yeah.
12? Okay. How many times have you seen from the tri-oval to the finish line, how many times have you seen a wreck?
I'm sitting here thinking about it. I've been out there for 6, 7 races now. 8 races this weekend.
8 race weekends.
So 8 race weekends. And, I'm sitting here thinking, I don't think I've seen one finish under green.
There. That's. I'm going to leave it right there. Official results showing Sadler was trailed by Justin Allgaier. Brennan Poole shown third, followed by Jeremy Clements. Brendan Gaughan wrap up your top 5, 6th through 10th. Moonlighter Austin Dillon, then Daniel Suarez. Matt Tifft claiming a top 10 in his first ever restrictor plate race. Nice run by him.
Yes.
Moonlighter Chase Elliott 9th. Moonlighter Eric Almirola 10th. That said, now Sadler adds his name to that of Eric Jones. They are now both in the season-ending Xfinity chase for the championship in that series. Among the 12 non-winners, 10 of them left. Daniel Suarez, Ty Dillon, Justin Allgaier, Brendan Gaughan, Brandon Jones, Brennan Poole, Darrell Wallace Jr., Ryan Reed, Jeb Burton, and Ryan Sieg. Sieg is 116 points behind the leader, 12 points to the good. Inside the top 12, just over Jeremy Clements, who's on the outside looking in and hoping. Saturday night, Sochi Autodrome, as they would say in Russia. It's the home of the Formula One series, at least for that one weekend. But it was more like the same old story. Nico Rosberg claiming the win again. Win marks his 4th win of the season in 4 events, and dating back to last season, he now has 7 wins in a row in that Mercedes. First lap battle between Sebastian Vettel and Daniel Kvyat led to that pair making contact not once, but twice. The second time shot Vettel off the course with enough damage to end the Ferrari driver's day. We'll get back to the whole Daniel Kvyat thing later on.
Yeah, we got a lot for that.
Yeah. When it was all over, Mercedes actually was 1-2. Lewis Hamilton, who started 10th, had begun methodically working his way up the scoreboard, and the final podium spot went to Kimi Räikkönen, who barely held off Valtteri Bottas for that 3rd spot. Felipe Massa rounds out your top 5, 6th through 10th. You got Fernando Alonso, Kevin Magnussen claiming Renault's first championship points since they've come back in to Formula One racing. Romain Grosjean in the American-based Haas F1 entry finishes 8th, so more points for the Haas F1 rookie team.
Yes.
And Sergio Perez and Jenson Button wrap up the top 10 in a race where only the top 5 ended up on the lead lap by the time all was said and done.
That was nuts.
Good grief. Rosberg now holds a 43-point lead over his teammate Lewis Hamilton. It's for 4 races in, 43 points is rather commanding.
It is. It's extremely commanding. It's different for Lewis Hamilton too because he feels he's always on the other side of that.
Yeah, usually he is,
and he's always got the lead. So he's not doing so well with the chase part.
We saw the equivalent of this last year, except the 2 roles were reversed. Lewis Hamilton came out of the box despite the fact that he had a problem in Australia in 2015. By this point in time, or within the next couple of races, he had a very large lead. I don't think it was quite 43 points, but he had a large lead over his teammate. And he was able to wrap it up with 5 races to go, and then we saw Nico Rosberg go on the drop that he is now. This doesn't mean that it is all over. It just means that Nico Rosberg is certainly setting himself up for that run and saying, you know what, we can keep the manufacturer's title with Mercedes, but I think it's my turn after watching my teammate for 2 years in a row win the title.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You used to seeing one driver dominate just over and over and over and over and over. We're actually seeing a changing of the guard, so to speak, but it's the same team.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's where you really get the fact that your team is on par or above par and doing extremely well when both of your drivers can dominate on a yearly basis the way that that Rosberg and Hamilton are. So I mean, Mercedes is definitely not unhappy.
They're the class of the field, and I think that they would like to see their other driver win.
Yes,
in the hallways, unless you're Lewis Hamilton and or working on his particular car.
Of course, Rosberg's like, yeah, I know how that feels, buddy.
My turn, man.
My turn.
All I can say is I called the winner for the race.
You did?
Mercedes.
It was a real stretch on his part.
That's right. You did. Yeah, mine got knocked out.
I'll give him credit. He called it. Like I said, as far as the points are concerned, Lewis Hamilton, 43 out. Kimi Räikkönen is now third, 57 down. Daniel Ricciardo jumps up to fourth place. He's 64 points out. And because of the non-finish and no points grab on last Saturday evening's race, Sebastian Vettel drops to fifth in points. He's 67 out. Felipe Massa sixth. Romain Grosjean seventh in championship points, followed by Daniel Kvyat, Valtteri Bottas. Max Verstappen is 10th. He's 87 points out of the lead. Constructors' Cup standings, Mercedes an 81-point lead over Ferrari already. Red Bull is 100 points behind, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Williams and Haas make up the rest of the top 5 in points. Toro Rosso, McLaren, Force India, Renault make up your top 10. Only Sauber and Manor have yet to claim championship points this season.
I just love the fact that rookie team, a Haas F1's got points and all those other teams don't.
Yeah, really. I mean, Sauber and Manor, Manor's been in it since 2010. Sauber has been in it under varying names now for, a couple of decades, I think. If I were to go back, I'd have to look and make sure, because that team has changed names a couple of times. But yeah, they're a veteran team. No points.
Those teams have got to feel horrible that they can't even get a point.
Well, Manor is starting to see some of the results of the changes that they made in the offseason, but they haven't taken a leap. They're taking small steps.
Yeah.
But I like what they're going for.
Yeah,
I see where they're going, and they have their direction going for them.
But that's the thing. You have to stay that path.
Oh, yeah.
But for them, mentally, to have a rookie team come in the way that Haas F1 has this year and been able to do what they've been able to do, that's really got to be demoralizing no matter how long you've been in the sport as a team. But you can't do anything against these guys that are coming out and they're doing so well each week. I mean, Haas F1 has only had one bad week. Right.
But that said, when you think about it, this probably changes the way that teams who are thinking about coming into Formula One now actually start to set that up.
Yeah.
Instead of going, okay, we've been awarded a team, let's get out on the track as fast as we can, they're going to, first of all, go see who they can forge a relationship with, because that's what Haas F1 did. They went and forged a relationship with Ferrari. That was first things first. Then they said, okay, you know what? We've been awarded one midway through the year of 2014. Let's not rush it.
Yes.
We'll take the 2014 year, the 2015 season, and let's go towards 2016. And that was what they worked on. And they had a year and a half to be able to go to that. And they got the proper drivers, I think. Esteban Gutierrez still hasn't really proven a whole lot yet.
Flaky, but
Grosjean was a home run.
It was.
Okay.
It was. And it's proving hand over fist right now.
And they looked at the rules, and they realized exactly how much they could grab from Scuderia Ferrari, and they grabbed everything that they could possibly get, and then they worked on the rest of it themselves, and they built themselves a nice team. Your Manors, your Caterhams, which came in 2010, HRT, which came in 2010, and within 3 years they were gone, they all said, oh, we've been granted a license. They immediately jumped in the very next year. And they didn't have enough lead time, and because they didn't have enough lead time, unfortunately, you're still seeing them trying to play catch-up.
So, and now that's the thing. This Haas F1 team has done something different than all the other teams have done. They've researched.
Changes the dynamics of how to do it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Now they've kind of set that bar where if you really want to come into this sport, into Formula One, and you want to have any chance when you go on track, they've set that precedent, so to speak, for those new teams.
Absolutely, they did. Go to Sunday. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series actions threatened by showers and thunderstorms all day, which prompted race officials to move up the event by 30 minutes, which turned out to be the right amount of time. Since rain was a constant threat, the drivers for every single one of the 188 laps were up on the wheel trying to advance their position, which meant that there were several cautions and the inevitable big one involving numerous cars. When all was said and done, it was Brad Keselowski standing in victory lane celebrating his fourth win at Talladega. In the end, only 21 cars finished on the lead lap, and of the 40 that started, fewer than 30 actually finished the race due to wrecks and mechanical problems. They figured out that when it was all said and done, out of all 40 cars, only 4 that actually finished the race did not have a dent from a wreck, and only 5 of them did not have a dent from a wreck. The other one actually had to bow out because of mechanical problems.
Yes.
5 of 40 cars made it through unscathed from accidents because everybody, literally, again, everybody, especially once we hit the halfway point, everybody was like, Now we got to make sure that we're up front.
Well, we were sitting there, and we were doing the same thing in the tower. We were watching the weather constantly, watching the weather come in.
Sometimes quite literally. We watched a shower go, less than a mile from the south end of the track?
I mean, it was there. As a matter of fact, Dave Moody for MRN was down there in turn 2, and he was talking about the fact that it just passed the track. He could see the rain line as it was passing the track.
We were watching it from the tower.
Yeah, and it was... We were kind of joking around about it up there in the tower just a little bit because we talk about the fact that Grant Lynch out there has picked the perfect weekend.
Sold under a lucky star something.
I think I brought up something about the fact that he's got some magical fairy that sits in the middle of the track and puts a bubble up around the track because even we were listening to a lot of the chatter. They were replaying a lot of it between the crew chiefs and such, and they're saying the rain is here, the rain is here. It's supposed to be raining right now.
Yes, we see green over the track, which says that it should be raining.
Yes, but
it's not.
And that brought a whole different aspect to this Geico 500 was the fact that, like you said, these guys were up on the wheel for the entire time, 188 laps. We don't see that.
No.
We see these guys working, thinking about how they're going to make their moves, stepping back, doing all these crazy things. Nobody was doing that.
What we're used to seeing is for about the first 25 to 30 laps of any particular race, you'll see a whole lot of jockeying for position, those guys and girls who feel like that they can get to the front, they're going to try for the front, and if they can't get to it, then they'll back off.
Yeah.
After about 30 laps or so, or maybe after the first pit stop, they all just settle down. They start to clock laps, and they'll just go in single, maybe double file. Mm-hmm. That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
All day long. 2 wide, 3 wide, 4 wide. 4 wide through turns 1 and 2. 4 wide. Again, 4 wide through turns 1 and 2.
Over and over and over.
Oh, yeah. Not just like one time and you're going, okay, they might get into a wreck. No, we're sitting there watching and going, how in the world have we not wrecked? Yeah, oh, there it is.
Yeah, but we saw it last year. We saw them 3 and 4 wide racing for 20 plus laps, and we were like, it's going to happen, but ultimately it didn't.
Yeah.
But for them to actually go out and do that, we were sitting there jumping up and down, cheers of joy because we hit halfway. We're like, yes,
we did it. Now it can be official.
Now if it rains, it's official.
Yeah.
And no, we didn't get that. We sat there and watched it all day long, scratching our heads, going, Grant Lynch, how did you do that?
That said, I'm glad he's our boss.
Yes.
Because we get racing in every weekend.
Grant has a new nickname, Grant the Magician.
He is.
The Magician Lynch.
You want to know how much of a magician he is? Lap 188. Brad Keselowski goes to Victory Lane. They have the Victory Lane celebration. He is being transported to the Hollywood Hotel where Fox has their on-site area, put them in a little trailer where they do the post-race interview. As he has left Victory Lane and going to, in the golf cart, the Hollywood Hotel to do the post-race television interview, it started raining. And
it didn't just start raining. The bottom fell out.
Absolutely. What they would call losing the track happened in 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And you see all those guys scrambling down there. That all the drivers are back. Yeah, all the drivers are back in their haulers, and they're all debriefing. But the pit crews are
busting their butt, going, "Gosh, we got to get the tools in! Come on, pack it all up! Get!"
And then somebody screams rain, and it's there.
It was there. It was
so
amazing.
The timing was impeccable.
Congratulations to Talladega. They did it well. Keselowski was first, as we mentioned, trailed by Kyle Busch, Austin Dillon, Jamie McMurray, and Chase Elliott in the top 5. Official results gave Ty Dillon 6th in relief of Tony Stewart. Good run there. Clint Boyer 7th. We haven't seen that much this year out of the 15. Kurt Busch, Ryan Blaney, and Trevor Bayne in the top 10.
Trevor Bayne.
That's, 2 weekends in a row for Trevor Bayne to claim a top 10?
And not to mention, the way that he was actually out there running this weekend, we were talking about the fact that everybody was up on their wheels a lot more. But Trevor Bayne was out front, and he looked like a champ.
He did.
He wasn't making mistakes. He was being very methodic in his moves. He was moving up. He was moving down. And we saw that with the leader. We saw it with Keselowski, too. Keselowski had an extremely strong car.
He did, all day.
And he was able to go up, down, wherever he wanted to go. Yeah, it bit Joey Logano in the rear on Saturday, but it worked out well for whoever was out front. So it was great to see him do as well as he's done. Yep. That's the best performance Trevor Bayne's had.
I agree.
For those of us who are ignorant in the way that NASCAR runs things with relief drivers, could you explain to me, because I have no clue, Ty Dillon finished 6th, okay? Yes. How does that affect Tony Stewart as the driver?
Tony Stewart gets the points. Tony Stewart started the race and was in, and I forget now what their length is, but you have to be in the car for X number of laps. And I think it changes from race to race.
Yeah,
I want to say at Talladega, it has to be Daytona or Talladega. You got to be in the car for at least 10 laps after you started the race. Something to that effect.
I think it's that.
And he was in there for what, 40, 45?
We didn't think he was going to be in there for that long, but he was.
Yeah, 40, 45 before we got that first caution, and they pulled him out of the car, and then Ty Dillon jumps in. So Tony Stewart gets the points. The championship points in this case. Ty Dillon
works out for him perfectly.
Yeah, which is kind of strange. If you look, it wasn't Fox Sports. It was actually NBC, I want to say, on Monday in their shows. They actually showed the top 10, and they put Tony Stewart in 6th place with that little mark out beside it, and at the bottom of the screen it said Ty Dillon took over for him on lap whatever it was. So they're noting the fact that Ty Dillon did it, but at this point in time, what Ty Dillon did was he got experience in the Sprint Cup Series level in a restrictor plate track.
He did extremely well. I was actually, I know, shock and awe. Ty Dillon did an amazing job for Tony.
Yeah.
And before the Talladega race weekend, when I was reading about what Tony was going to have to do, I think we detailed it on the show, if I remember correctly. He had to finish 23rd or better from here on till Richmond and claim a win. So to go into Talladega and for Ty Dillon to pull home a 6th place finish, that not only helped Tony on so many levels, it gave him a lot of breathing room too. Because if he has a bad week.
And to further answer that question, let's assume for a moment that Ty Dillon had actually parked the 14 in victory lane. That would have been credited to Tony Stewart. Tony Stewart would have been given the credit for the win and would have then been eligible for the chase should he get inside the top 30 in points.
But it would have gotten him a place at the table for Tony Stewart.
And then Ty Dillon would have been, showered with gifts. Brad, in the meantime, makes it now 4 drivers with 2 wins on the young season. 2 other drivers holding a win each. Among your non-winners in the top 16 in points, Joey Logano, Kurt Busch, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Martin Truex Jr., Austin Dillon, Chase Elliott, Jamie McMurray, A.J. Allmendinger, Matt Kenseth, and the aforementioned Trevor Bayne.
So many names.
When we come back, we'll take a look at what the NHRA did in Houston. Mm-hmm. Coming up here at 8 o'clock, Thursday afternoon, had the chance to talk to Blake Cook, a man who we thought we were going to get in the tower last weekend at Talladega, but unfortunately things happened. Was able to pre-record an interview with him on Thursday. We'll play that for you, and I don't know.
There's a whole bunch more.
We'll see what other kinds of trouble we can get into.
Oh, goody.
We're only 1/4 of the way into this version of the fastest hour in radio.
You're listening to the fastest hour in radio on Superstation 101.
We are well into 2016 and race season, and you still haven't stopped smoking? Seriously, come on! The time is now to get your health back on track, ditch the cigarettes, and start vaping with Wild Vapors. Whether you're taking fast turns like Indycar or running the NASCAR Oval, don't miss the pit stop at Wild Vapors in Sylacauga. There's nothing quite like burning rubber, but that doesn't mean you have to keep burning the stogies. You can get everything you love about smoking without a blowout to your health. Wild Vapors mixes a signature formula for their own brand in an off-site clean room facility using only the highest quality USP ingredients. They leave out dangerous additives like sucralose and diacetyl, only mixing the purest vaping juice on the circuit. You don't want your favorite team to run on dirty gas, and you sure don't want to buy juice from some backyard mechanic. Trust the team at Wild Vapors to provide you with the highest quality vaping products in the race. Find the healthier alternative to smoking, making your next pit stop at Wild Vapors of Sylacauga today to get the checkered flag. In the Sylacauga Walmart Shopping Center or their Alexander City location, 256-369-2569. Stay on track with Wild Vapors.
I'm Joey Logano, driver number 22 Discount Tire Ford Mustang. My pit crew keeps my car and my tires rolling safely during races, but you don't need a pit crew to be tire smart. You can find your vehicle's recommended tire pressure in the owner's manual or on a sticker on the driver's side door. Check tire pressure at least once a month and before every long journey. And don't forget the spare.
For more information, visit BeTireSmart.org. A message from the Rubber Manufacturers Association.
I'm Curtis Skinner, the driver of the number 11 Skinner Motorsports Dirt Late Model, and you're listening to the fastest hour in radio on Superstation 101 WYD.
4 new tires and a tank of gas, and we're back to the fastest hour in radio on Superstation 101.
back in. You are listening to the fastest hour in radio here. Superstation 101 WIDE, found online on Facebook, facebook.com/the fastest hour in radio.
That's right. You can find us on Twitter at Fastest Hour, Instagram at Fastest Hour, and check out our YouTube channel. All our shows are uploaded each and every week. YouTube.com. Search The Fastest Hour in Radio. Click that subscribe button and get that email letting you know when a new show's up.
That said, if you are listening live on Saturday mornings, if you're listening Saturday evening or Sunday morning, sorry, it's a replay. You can't call in because nobody's here to answer the phone. But if you are listening on Saturday morning between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m., 941-1011, toll free 866-551-9933.
John is there and waiting to talk to you.
Yes,
absolutely.
Operator is sitting by. Over to the NHRA. They went down to Houston, Texas, and when all was said and done, it was Steve Torrence who grabbed the win over Doug Kalitta. Steve Torrence ran a 3.810 elapsed time, 306.81 miles per hour.
Woo!
To funny car, Courtney Force called her.
Yes.
Last week.
Yes, I did.
Claimed her first win of the season, bested Tim Wilkerson by running a 3.913 second elapsed time, 327.9 miles per hour, claiming this is 328 miles an hour in 1,000 feet.
Yes. I was sitting there and I saw her that first run after the race was done at Talladega. They had it on TV.
Yeah.
And I think you had gone to get the car. Because we were booking out of there before we got held up a little longer.
And then we got held up
she
longer.
made that first run. I said, you go, girl.
Oh, yeah. You and I think, actually both called her.
Yes.
Because it was about time for her to start, we
were waiting to see something, and it happened.
Yeah. And then there was Greg Anderson, who was at the top of the pro stock field, a 6.630 elapsed time for him at 209.43 miles per hour, beating Jason Line to the line for the win. And 210 miles an hour is nothing to sneeze at in 1,000 feet either.
I tell you what, seeing Greg Anderson on TV when I've been watching it, he looks just. His face is just ice. I mean, he's by his car, and they're sitting there getting a shot of the car, and they see him over there, and he's just got that look on his face like he is ready to go right then and there, ice cold, man.
Just looking at you, going, I got this.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's got. He's like, psh, that's right.
Updated points following Houston. Brittany Force with a slim 1-point margin over Doug Kalitta. Antron Brown is only 19 down. Steve Torrence now within 47 points with the win. Clay Milliken 109 points back in fifth place in Top Fuel. To funny car, Courtney Force and Tim Wilkerson are now in a flat-footed tie at the top. You got Ron Capps 22 down, Robert Height 35 back. John Force now 55 out, is sitting in fifth. He's the one that I'm waiting to see whether he's going to be able to light that candle. He's gotten to the point where he gets into the round of 16, and then for whatever reason, he seems to kind of hit this brick wall. I don't know what's going on with John Force now.
I don't know. It's not the John Force that we're used to seeing, but,
really.
His mind, it's there.
It's there. Yeah,
but I mean, he's got two daughters that are racing
just
now
missing,
too. He's doing the team aspect as well.
Yeah.
When it was just John Force for John Force, man, he was a force to be reckoned with. I mean, pardon the cliche.
Yeah, really.
But
and then there's pro stock standings, which it seems like it's almost done. Jason Line continues to lead that, 79 points up on Greg Anderson. So Greg Anderson was able to close in just a little bit with the win over the weekend. Bo Butner in third, 181 points out. Drew Skillman is fourth, 290 points out. And Chris McGahey in fifth is a big 350 points out.
Steve, is it too early to go ahead and start cutoffs?
I'm going to... Only because Greg Anderson is within 100 points, I'm going to say just a little too early, but not by much. Racing this weekend actually began last night. Camping World Truck Series finally got back into action at Kansas Speedway after a month off. They ran the Toyota Tundra 250, and for only the third and fourth time all season long, the drivers actually allowed the caution clock to run down. The other two times happened at Atlanta. Then you have all the drivers, again, allowing the caution clock to run down. Following the second one, which also happened to be the last restart of the night, Johnny Sauter gets off to a blistering restart. But on the final lap, he ends up getting into a battle. And this battle ends up turning his and another truck around. And who jumps down to the bottom? William Byron, driving for Kyle Busch Motorsports, gets underneath, rolls on, claims the win, his first NASCAR win in any of the top three series of his career. Congratulations to the kid.
I mean, and that's the thing. You got to be there. It doesn't matter if you're running third, fourth, or fifth. Anything can happen at the top. And you have to be there to capitalize. And William Byron did an outstanding job, maintained his line, rolled on to victory lane. Somebody stop Kyle Busch Motorsports.
Not happening.
No.
Second went to two-time defending series champion Matt Crafton. Then you got Daniel Hemrick, Christopher Bell, Moonlighter Clint Boyer, He's right by his home. I mean, he grew up in that area, so he's going to run as much as he can possibly run there at Kansas Speedway, so he ended up there. Then you got Ryan Truex, Cole Custer, good run for him, Timothy Peters, Ben Kennedy with his brand new team GMS Motorsports, first race with them this weekend, and he's able to get a top 10, and Spencer Gallagher wraps up the top 10. So good. It was a good race.
It was.
Race.
The truck race is always great. I don't care where they are.
They're very underrated.
That's why I don't want to say this, but I can't wait for Talladega in the fall because the truck race.
Oh, yeah.
I love that truck race. And getting to watch it on TV, these guys just go at it.
Points breaking down like this. John Hunter Nemechek is locked into the season-ending chase along with Johnny Sauter and now William Byron. Timothy Peters, your leader among the non-winners, trailed in the top 10 by Daniel Hemrick, Ryan Truex, Tyler Young, Matt Crafton. It's hard to believe Matt Crafton is so far down in the points at this point in time.
Yeah, a little weird.
Spencer Gallagher, Brandon Brown, and Parker Kligerman along with Cameron Haley. That's actually your top 12 since 12 drivers are going to get into the season-ending chase. I'm happy to see that Parker Kligerman is still inside the top 12. I don't know if you had the chance to see it, but what brought out the last caution because of an accident was where Parker Kligerman, of nothing having to do with him whatsoever. He was down low in the line. There was a problem up at high, and somebody just came down the track. I forget who right offhand, tagged him, and he went into the outside wall hard coming out of turn 4.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was. But
happy to see that he was okay, and happy to see that it wasn't as big a hit in points as it could have been. He's still inside the top 12.
Safety.
Absolutely. The amount of safety that's come up in NASCAR, it just, whew. Because I got to admit, when I saw that wreck, I immediately started praying that Parker was okay.
Yeah, that was
tough.
We've seen a few that have been kind of like, oh, come on, man, get out the car.
Happy to see that he came out of that.
Yeah.
He's probably very sore today, but otherwise.
Yeah, I'd say so.
As for the rest of the weekend in racing, you've got tonight, Under the Lights, Sprint Cup Series running the Go Bowling 400 at Kansas Speedway. Coverage is on Fox Sports 1 tonight, along with Motor Racing Network Radio. It starts at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central Time. Martin Truex Jr., congratulations to him. Put his number 78 Bass Pro Shops Toyota Camry on the pole for the race. And that's it for the weekend. There ain't nothing else.
Oh, wow, there isn't.
Nope. That's the only other race this weekend that we cover in series.
Yeah, I love the night race, though. The night race at Kansas
love night racing.
Is amazing.
I love night racing as a whole.
Night racing is great. I mean, just the way the lights are on the track. But Kansas, it's just watching on TV. It's one of those tracks, if you get a chance, we always talk about the night race at Bristol. It's a must. It's on the bucket list.
One of the hardest tickets to get in all the sports.
Yeah. Now, if you get a chance to go to the Kansas race, the night race, go to it.
Yeah.
Because just the way things look, I'm always so jealous of everybody. So if you're in Kansas, I hate you right now.
No, we don't hate you. We're just very jealous of you.
I could be your buddy.
So if you're in Kansas and you happen to have an extra ticket or 2 or 3.
We need a Winnebago. We need the fastest hour in radio motorhome, and just start going to tracks.
Camping World or Dandy RV or somebody who's listening.
Yeah.
We're open.
Yeah. We'll test one out for you. We'll really test it.
Into some off-the-track news here. And for the first time ever, NASCAR Chairman Brian France showed up at a Sprint Cup Series Driver Council meeting and actually got a warm reception at Talladega last weekend.
Warm?
Wow. Yeah.
No comment.
The group conceived last season. France hadn't visited a single one of their meetings since the Drivers' Council had been formed. Said that he felt the drivers might feel more willing to talk openly without him there. However, outspoken 3-time champion Tony Stewart criticized him back in January for not attending.
Wait a second. 1, 2. Criticizes him for not attending. He attends.
Yes.
Criticizes NASCAR for the 5 off, 5 on rule. And they change it.
Tony Stewart, your next chairman of NASCAR.
Boom!
Anyway, showing up at the meeting in Talladega last Friday, France stayed for about an hour of the 3-hour meeting, saying only, quote, we had just had a good discussion, unquote. Added he did have a prior commitment or he would have stayed longer. Drivers agreed with France's description, with Dale Jr. saying, quote, it was great Brian came. We were trying to cover a lot of stuff. Nothing groundbreaking yesterday. It was just a good, positive meeting. I didn't leave out of there frustrated on any topic at all. The council this season made up of Stuart Earnhardt, along with Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, and Jimmy Johnson. So you have the top driver from each manufacturer and then 6 chosen based upon their experience and their performance. Harvick said that France's concerns up to now were unfounded. Quote, you can say what you want to say on the council, and you're not going to offend anybody or everybody. Everybody's got an open mind about pushing the sport in a better direction anytime we're on the subject. So hopefully that means that he will be there more often.
It'd be great to see him because he could be a little bit more in tune with that, the sport that he runs.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
It'd be nice.
Yeah.
I mean, just saying.
Some sobering news, and we're sad to hear about this, so our thoughts and prayers go out to the family and friends of these two when Tuesday morning it was discovered that 2 Florida men passed away on the grounds at Talladega Superspeedway. Birmingham's WVTM TV 13, our partners on the TV side here at Superstation 101, reported that Tuesday morning, that the men, identified as 48-year-old James Cook and 19-year-old Joshua Dean of Tallahassee, Florida, were found in their pull-behind trailer. At no time foul play. This time, no foul play is believed to have taken place, but an actual cause of death still not determined at this point in time. We would assume, but again, this is an assumption. We've seen this before. Possible carbon monoxide poisoning from some source within the trailer, because how many times have we had to remind people, hey, watch out for portable heaters, generators, things like that could be seeping carbon monoxide into where it is that you're sleeping.
And just this story, I mean, as much as we talk it up there in the tower and reminding people about just the fact of, be careful, do what you're doing, but use your brain.
Yeah.
And having these stories come down, it's just so demoralizing because you want to make sure that everybody's safe. You want to see everybody go home safe on the weekend. And when something like this happens, it sets you back a little bit. It does.
Mention the phone lines are open to you, and a good friend of the show's, Greg Lloyd, has checked in with us. Hi, Greg. How are you?
What's up, buddy?
Oh, I'm great, Steve. How are you doing this morning?
Oh, we're doing well. We are talking about racing, so we're doing great.
Everything's good.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's nothing else to talk about, are there?
No, not that I know of.
Nothing in the world.
Exactly. So how is everything? You guys were out at Talladega last weekend, right?
Yeah, that was one big reason I called. I texted that several times, but they won't tell Kyle how great of a job y'all did.
Well, thank you.
We was at the track, and it's pretty cool. Me and Garrett would sit there and say, hey, it's Steve and Dustin. We know them.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, we had a good time, no doubt.
You guys had a great view of the track, though, right there in the Tri-Oval, right in front of the Geico 500 sign?
Yes, we was on the upper deck, right in the Tri-Oval. I don't know. We was probably sheltered at the finish line, wouldn't we?
Yeah, we're right above the start-finish line.
Yeah. We was right in the middle of the Tri-Oval. Well, we had great seats Friday and Saturday. And then once Garrett went back Sunday on his own, I can't help the Sunday deal. I just can't help it.
That's a lot of people.
Wild crowd, you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you're talking about. How are things looking over there at the short track? How are things looking for the year so far?
Well, we sort of had a slow year this year. I don't know. We've got a car, just can't get hooked up. We're going to have to find something else to do with the car-wise and go a different route. We're starting to put the motor in the sportsman car this week and got Garrett ready for the big hot shot duo tonight. So he agrees that. I'm not going to race tonight. It's the first night I missed. I'm in the middle of changing the motor, so.
Okay, but you're going to be there 100% for Garrett.
Oh, yeah.
Good deal.
Oh, yeah.
I tell you what, got a chance to see his video because, he's one of our friends on Facebook. You guys both are. And saw his video from last weekend's feature. He has a lot of fun with that GoPro camera of his, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah, he does. He had a lot of fun with that. He pretty much. I tried to talk him out of it, let me put it in my car, and I've worked out to sneak it and put it in there every now and then.
Now,
of course, he'll let me, but then I don't know how to download it. How you download it? He'll like.
How many times do you go back and look at that video and tell him what he's doing wrong?
Oh, you can't tell him he's doing nothing wrong. He's already thinking he knows it all.
10 feet tall and bulletproof.
And last week he kept telling me, he said, look, right there, look, it's last lap. Look, he got into me. I said, he didn't get into you. He said, I was holding my line. I said, well, look, I think it's going to stand. I said, 4 races, you just playing anybody racing.
Unfortunately, Greg, we're kind of losing you there a little bit, but we love the fact that you guys got a good start to the season. We're going to be out there. We'll be visiting in the pit stall here real soon, okay?
Okay, well, thanks for telling me when y'all do something. We still need our logos, and
we're working on that.
I'm on it, I promise.
Thank you, Greg. We appreciate it.
I hope we get a bigger one than the one that's on the ARCA car.
Oh, yeah. Oh, trust us. We'll get it. We'll get you covered. Thank you so much, Greg. Talk to you soon.
Good day.
See you, buddy.
It's unfortunate kind of how sometimes cell phones work out that way. But, yeah, it's we're going to start to become more of a regular presence out of Talladega Short Track. Plus, we've got Pinton Speedway that we need to go to. We're talking Huntsville, maybe Montgomery. We've got a lot of Saturday evening racing that we're going to be checking out here in the next
We're going to be extremely busy, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, I like it.
Yes.
All right, let's get back into the news rundown here. NBC Sports reported Thursday morning that the second round of the 2017 Chase for the Spring Cup going to be seeing a slight change in the schedule, but that it could actually create a big change in how the second round of the Chase would be planned out. They were saying that Kansas and Talladega were going to switch dates. In other words, Kansas was actually going to be the elimination race, and the second three races of the Chase would then be Charlotte October 8th, Talladega October 15th, and Kansas October 22nd. And we're sitting here thinking to ourselves, okay, well, that may be, maybe not. We'll find out in a couple of months, until NASCAR decided to kind of uncharacteristically release the 2017 schedule way earlier than anybody had ever thought that they were going to.
This is the earliest it's ever been released, isn't it?
I believe so. And what NBC Sports had reported was revealed to be the case. Next season, 40 weeks as opposed to this year's 41-week span. So next year, only 2 weekends off. There'll be Easter weekend and the weekend of August 26th. Why that was chosen, just random, I guess. Daytona 500 going to run February 26th. The regular season will hit Richmond September the 9th. Dover going to move back a little bit on the schedule. They're going to move to June 4th from this year's May race, which, by the way, they're going to be there next weekend. Bristol and Michigan swapping August weekends from this year as well. Charlotte Motor Speedway, again, hosting the Sprint All-Star race. The Spring Texas race goes from a Saturday night to a Sunday afternoon event because they moved it off of the weekend where the Masters Golf Tournament was playing. All 10 Chase tracks remain the same, the only change-up being the aforementioned Kansas-Talladega date swap. The Chase will begin in Chicago September the 17th. It will end in Homestead, Miami, November the 19th. So instead of us at Talladega being the 6th race in the Chase, will now be the 5th race in the Chase between Charlotte and Kansas.
5's a good number.
I don't have a problem with that.
And I don't either. I tell you what.
Not a big one anyway.
I've been paying attention, of course, I always do, to a lot of the social media, a lot of the grumblings and stuff of a lot of the fans. I try to get a chance to look at all of everybody's thought process. And I tell you what, I didn't realize how many people are still out there that hate this Chase.
Yeah, but unfortunately it's here to stay.
It is.
It's not going anywhere.
And a lot of people are just kind of, they're really upset by that. And then there was a lot of people that were really upset about Talladega being switched.
Yeah.
Because we saw it this past weekend. We saw you could go in and your Chase is done.
Yeah, your Chase is done or your Chase is made.
But
frankly,
a lot of people were also making.
There's not really a whole lot of middle ground at the Talladega.
A lot of people were making the point to the fact of, regardless if Talladega is that 5th or 6th race, whether it's that elimination race or not.
Oh, it's still playing a big factor.
It's still playing a big factor. It's just not going to have that title of elimination race now.
Right. Yeah. So it still has its importance.
Yeah, so a lot of people are kind of like, well, what's the big deal?
Yeah,
it's still going to be messing things up.
I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, I'm not either.
No, I think it's a fine move. I don't have any problems.
I like the move.
If it's another year, it must be another format for the Sprint All-Star race. Seems like it changes every year.
Yeah.
Charlotte Motor Speedway GM Marcus Smith went on Fox's NASCAR Race Hub TV show earlier this week. New format now going to be 113 laps, broken up into 3 segments, 2 50-lap segments, and in the 50-lap segment, it will include a mandatory green flag pit stop in each of those segments where the drivers must change at least 2 tires. And they will end with a final 13-lap segment in order to determine the winner of the event and the $1 million bonus. Here's another wrinkle. After the second 50-lap segment, they're going to do a random draw. That's going to determine whether the first 9, 10, or 11 cars in the event are going to be mandated to come down pit road to change 4 tires. So it means that anyone who is trailing those entries will have the option to remain out on the track, granted on older tires, but gain track position for the 13-lap shootout. So here's the question. Here's the question.
Okay.
I can see this one coming already.
Yeah.
Put yourself either as the case of a driver or pit crew.
Okay.
You're going to change tires between the first and second segments. It's going to happen automatically.
Right.
Okay? In that second segment, as a driver or a crew chief, pick either one, you're going to want to go. I'm going to want to go. I'm going to speak for me. I'll let you speak for yourself. I'm going to want to go as late as I can. I'm going to press this thing till 40 to 45 laps into that segment, and then I'm going to take my green flag mandated pit stop, and I'm going to change all 4 tires. I know I'll be outside of the top 11 at that point in time, and I'm going to take my chances on getting track position.
Track position, yes. You want tires, of course. But then if you're on that random draw where you have to come down and get 4 new tires anyway.
2 new tires.
2 new tires. Then
no, I'm sorry, you're right. Yeah, 4.
Okay,
you're mandated to change 4 tires.
4.
You're right.
So if you come
those 9 to 11 cars that are leading at the end of segment 2, they're going to be at the back of the field. So why don't I try to do something that gives me 4 tires? I've got them a little worked in. They're not totally 100% brand new sticker tires. They're a little worked in with 5 to 10 laps, give or take, and I've got enough gas to get me the 13 laps. And I'm outside of the top 11, guaranteed. So then I get track position after those guys have to go in. Strategy.
It is strategy, but
or as our former president George W. Bush was credited with saying, strategery.
Strategery. I think this much. When you come in, I'm trying to understand this still because it always messes with me. If you come in at the green flag pit stop, you have to get 2 tires at least.
You have to get
right?
at least 2 tires.
You have to get at least 2 tires. So you've gone almost 50 laps. You got to get those tires.
Yeah.
So you come in and you get 2.
Yeah.
You're at Charlotte.
Yeah.
All I'm thinking of is turn 4 right now.
Sure.
So then you come in and you don't get picked. So you got a chance to stay on track. I would rather take those 2 new tires with those 2 older tires in turn 4 versus 4 brand new ones from the back, especially with a 13-lap shootout. I think it's going to take you a couple of laps to get.
So in other words, you kind of agree with me.
I kind of do, but then at the same time, the other side of me is going, dude, if you don't take tires, you're stupid.
Oh, absolutely.
If you don't just come in and get all 4 changed,
here's the difference between you and me. I want 4 brand new tires.
Yeah.
Before the end of the 50-lap segment, you're saying take 2 tires and keep the inside tires older.
Yes.
That's the only difference between the two of us on that. So. Then we get to the Sprint Showdown. That's one of the final 2 chances for drivers who have not claimed a win within the past year or have not won an all-star race in their past or a previous Sprint Cup Series champion in their past to be able to get in. Sprint Showdown going to run in 3 segments, 20, 20, and 10 laps to determine the driver who races their way in. And, of course, the final entry goes to the winner of the Sprint fan vote.
We remember last year, right?
Yeah, I do. Wow.
Who's the guy that's going to be sitting in his mama's basement just constantly voting for somebody?
Click.
Who was that? That was who was that? No, that wasn't Josh Wise.
No, Cole Witt.
No, it wasn't Cole Witt either. It's a no name. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Among the ones that are in there this year, and they gave me an alphabetical order, and I can't remember the entirety of the top 10. Danica Patrick is obviously in there. AJ Allmendinger's in there, but Matt DiBenedetto is in the top 10 in votes right now.
He deserves it.
I kind of want to see Matt DiBenedetto.
I want to see him in this race.
So we'll see whether that happens or not. NASCAR officials continue also to look forward to the year 2017, knowing that they're looking for a new Cup Series title sponsor. As we have reported here on this show, Sprint is leaving as the title sponsor of the Cup Series at the end of 2016. According to NASCAR's chief marketing officer, Steve Phelps, there are 8 to 10 companies that are talking at this time with NASCAR, but they still do not expect any kind of an announcement until sometime around September or October.
8 to 10 companies?
This is not a cheap title sponsorship.
No, it's not, but I was not expecting 8 to 10 companies with this type of sponsorship.
Yeah, 8 to 10. We'll find out.
Oh, I hope it's not something stupid.
Yeah, well, we'll find out. As for the Xfinity and Camping World Truck Series, again, we mentioned schedule changes that came out. No big changes apparent with the Xfinity Series still running 3 road course races in 2017. Camping World Truck Series is going to run one road course. Shouldn't have typed it that way.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, that's how I typed it, too.
I'm just sitting here looking.
Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, where the truck series is going to run late August 2017. Annual dirt race at Eldora Speedway is July 19th of 2017. As a couple of those highlights for them. Both series kick off, obviously, Daytona during Speed Weeks, and again, we'll join up with the Sprint Cup Series to end their season at Homestead, Miami. Xfinity Series news, Clint Boyer going to make a somewhat rare appearance in that secondary series. He's going to run for Junior Motorsports in that organization's star car, the 88 Chevy Camaro. 19-time winner in the Xfinity/Nationwide Series, Boyer set to pilot the number 88 Camaro at Chicagoland in September. He will be sponsored by Morton Buildings. It's based in nearby Morton, Illinois. They specialize in building large structures, farm buildings, airplane hangars, churches. They do custom-built homes as well.
Mm-hmm.
Next weekend, when the Camping World Truck Series runs at Dover International Speedway, look for a new name in the starting lineup. It's a driver by the name of Nick Drake. He's a Haas development driver, going to take the wheel of the number 49 Haas Automation Chevrolet Silverado, a collaborative effort between Junior Motorsports, which is kind of starting to dip their their toes into the water of the Camping World Truck Series, along with Premium Motorsports. Sponsorship from Haas Automation. Drake, a 20-year-old Mooresville, North Carolina native, raced last year in the K&N Pro Series East division. He claimed 2 top 5s, 7 top 10s, and was 8th in final series standings, so he's getting a chance to step up a division.
That's not a bad choice. I actually had a chance to follow along with a little bit about Drake. He's a good, talented racer.
Yeah.
So this is going to be really cool to see. I didn't get a chance to see this. I'm looking forward to this. This will be my guy I'll be watching when we get out there.
Number 49.
Yep.
Last night, Kansas Speedway, the final time that John West Townley will have Michael Shelton as his crew chief. Sheldon has officially parted ways with Athenian Motorsports amicably, as Shelton has decided to leave racing behind. He's starting a new career. Shelton was the crew chief for 2012 Camping World Truck Series title winner James Buescher. He's been with Athenian since the end of the 2014 season. His replacement, already named, Jimmy Villeneuve, who will take over the truck. He's been the truck chief for the team since about the time that Shelton came on board, and he will take on the role of crew chief officially next weekend at Dover. Ben Kennedy, as we announced last week, made that quick move during the month off, released from Red Horse Racing only to be picked up by GMS Racing the very next week, brought over his sponsor Jacob Companies with him, but GMS Racing has announced that deal, a deal that will cover the rest of the 2016 season. They have signed Weber to join forces with the team. Weber, the world's leading maker of charcoal, gas, and electric grills, going to be on the hood of the number 33 Chevrolet Silverado for an unannounced number of events. They only termed it as several. First of those was last night at Kansas.
That's a cool one.
We got more off-the-track news coming up here as we will make the transition from Camping World Truck Series in NASCAR to Indycar, Formula One. Let's see, FIA, Formula E. We've got NHRA to deal with as well. But coming up next, we are going to share with you an interview I did Thursday. NASCAR Xfinity Series driver Blake Cook, had the chance to talk with him for about 10 minutes or so. You'll hear that when we come back.
WYDE-FM Coleman, WDJC HD3 Birmingham. This is Superstation 101.
At the karaoke bar, Greg shows the telltale signs of being wasted. First off, he's in a karaoke bar. Next, he tells the waitress she can be his backup singer. Greg asks his buddy if he met his backup singer. He takes another shot and realizes he's not sitting with his buddy. Then he spends an hour searching for the perfect song in the food menu. On stage, he can't read the lyrics on the monitor. He explains to everyone that he can't read gobbledygook. Greg decides to freestyle rap. He keeps repeating the line, "I don't read no gobbledygook, boy." The power is cut, and Greg offers to sign autographs out back.
It's easy to tell if you've had way too many to drive. But what if you've had just one too many to drive? Never underestimate just a few. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, the Ad Council, and this station.
Back to green flag action on the fastest hour in radio on Superstation 101.
Welcome back in. You're listening to the fastest hour in radio, Mother's Day edition of this. That's, of course, this weekend. And we were hoping to have him live and in studio last weekend. Things didn't quite work out up at Talladega, but very, very pleased to welcome into the fastest hour in radio the driver of the number 11 Chevrolet Camaro in the Xfinity Series, Blake Cook. How are you, Blake?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing very well. Appreciate you coming on board and taking some time with us this weekend. Tell
Absolutely,
us,
man.
kind of want to go back. Let's start with going last weekend to Talladega. Talladega always kind of that crapshoot that everyone kind of wonders about. Your experience at Talladega last weekend, tell us about it.
Well, it was, it was a good race going for me. We were racing inside the top 10 there at the end, and then tried to made a big move through the tri-oval, ended up hitting Joey Logano pretty square. So I didn't finish good, but we had a good run going, but unfortunately we got in a pretty bad wreck and lost the car.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but now we get to move around. This weekend, you guys are off in the Xfinity Series. What do you do on an off weekend?
I'm actually taking my family to the beach. So we're renting a beach house, and we're going to hang out, relax for Mother's Day weekend.
Okay, and then I have to admit, I don't have the schedule right in front of me. What's next on the Xfinity Series schedule for you?
Dover's next. We'll head out to Dover and hope to get a good top 10 finish there. And there's a long season left, man. So it's exciting. That
there is. And you're just outside of a chase spot. They instituted a chase for the Xfinity Series and the Camping World Truck Series, kind of similar to what they do in the Sprint Cup Series. With this opportunity now, do you feel more pressure, or for you right now, does it still feel like the regular part of the season at this point?
It's still pretty regular of the season. There's a lot of time left to make up some points. We've had speed and we run fast in our leaf filter gutter protection Chevy, but we've had some bad finishes. But we're in a brand new race team, so you're going to have those hiccups along the way. And I think about halfway through the season, we'll start knocking out those top 10s and top 5s.
And you're pretty close right now. You're 13th in points, correct?
I believe so. We've had 2 top 10s this year and been fast. So I think we'll put ourselves in the chase. We just have to have some good solid finishes.
Now, you mentioned the fact that you're on a brand new team. We're going to get to that here in just a second. I kind of want to go back a little bit, because we find this fascinating. The more drivers that we talk to on whatever level, whether it's up at NASCAR, we've had the chance to talk to a couple of IndyCar drivers, and then drivers that are in and around where we are, in and around Birmingham, Alabama, from where the studios are. And we ask about how long they've been racing, and we've heard 5, 6, 7 years old fairly consistently. How did you start to get into racing?
Well, I started racing dirt bikes when I was 9 years old, but I actually didn't start racing cars till much later. I was actually 20 years old before I got in any sort of a race car, and really just fell in love with the sport, fell in love with driving fast in a race car, and ended up making my way to NASCAR. So it's been very exciting.
That's an interesting transition. We don't hear about it as much. We know that Jimmy Johnson obviously did it. We've heard about the likes of a Travis Pastrana and those guys that move from motorcycles over into stock cars. What was the first opportunity that put you into a car?
Yeah, my stepdad bought a truck in Florida. It's called a Pro Truck, and he's been a NASCAR fan his whole life. So he bought a race car, and I started driving it, and we started winning races pretty quick. And I just wanted to figure out how I could turn it into a career, and was able to hook up with some great sponsors that I've had throughout the last couple of years of my career. Leaf filter gutter protection obviously is the biggest one. They're my primary sponsor, but I also have Celsius energy drink and Salt Life and Aqua Hydrate. So I have some great sponsors, and that's what it takes to really succeed in this sport.
Absolutely, but it doesn't hurt the fact that you're competing up there, getting top 10s, top 5s, and competing constantly for wins. I'm sure that your sponsors are quite happy for that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely what it takes.
Now, as you mentioned this, you say pretty much you got off the motorcycle and got into this Pro Truck, and it just started to click for you. So it wasn't a difficult transition for you to go from a motorcycle to a truck or to a stock car?
I had to learn. I had to learn how to drive the race cars and, be smooth and consistent and not tear it up. There's a lot of things to learn, but I put my mind to it and worked hard and never gave up.
And that's the key. And we've been telling this to a lot of people. A lot of people have asked us, and they've asked the drivers that we've had on the air, what's the best way for me to be able to get my son or my daughter into racing? Because, I'm 47 years old, and, the moms and the dads, they're kind of like me. They're that old. They realize that they're kind of past their prime, unfortunately. So they want to kind of live vicariously through their son or their daughter, and they start asking, well, how can I get in? I think the best way is to just go get a car and then just, like you said, have the tenacity and don't give up.
Yeah, that's right. You can't wait. You definitely got to go do it. So that's definitely what I encourage most people to do, is just go get a race car and start racing.
There you go. I love it. That's the way to do it. Now, when it comes time, when it gets right down to it, you mentioned that this is a brand new race team. Kind of go through your progress here, because you've been with TriStar Motorsports. You've been with a couple of other teams there. How did you end up coming up with Calig Racing?
Yeah, well, Lee Filter Gutter Protection became my sponsor a couple of years ago, and they followed me with a couple different race teams, and Matt Collig, the owner, just loved what he saw from the sponsorship aspect, and he loves racing, and he ended up starting his own race team called Collig Racing, and since then we've been really fast, and he knows what it takes to be successful, because he's built Lee Filter to what it is today, and he's got a vision for our race team, and I couldn't be more proud to be a part of it.
Now, this may be putting the cart before the horse, but does he have thoughts of maybe moving up a division, or is he happy right now in the Xfinity Series?
Yeah, he's happy in the Xfinity Series. So am I. We both have young children, and we love being home on Sundays with the family. And it really just fits what we want to do and what we like. And we love the Xfinity Series. It's its own identity, and we really want to build a team that can win races in the Xfinity Series.
Well, that brings us to a fairly interesting question. My partner, Dustin, who unfortunately couldn't join me on the interview, we have been looking at the lineup here, and when you think about only 2 drivers have qualified for the chase by actually winning, Eric Jones and just last weekend at Talladega with Elliott Sadler, there's a lot of moonlighter action there with Sprint Cup drivers dropping down. What are your thoughts on the Cup drivers dropping down running the Xfinity Series?
I'm not really I don't really have an opinion for it. I go and race, the 39 other drivers the same way, no matter who they are. And, whether they're Cup drivers or Xfinity regulars, you still want to beat them. So definitely makes it more difficult when you're racing against guys like Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick and stuff like that. They're just so good with so much experience, but it really doesn't bother me.
Do you find yourself able to learn from them?
Yeah, if I ask them questions, everybody's racing around the same track, and if you can learn stuff from watching those guys on video and stuff like that. But as far as racing them around them, I don't know that I've learned too much other than just, how fast they are all the time.
I understand. You mentioned the fact that if you ask them questions, have you found them easy to talk to?
Yeah, everybody's pretty nice. I've been around the sport for a while enough now that I know most people, and people are willing to help.
Okay. Single car team, correct me if I'm wrong, at Calig Racing?
Yeah, single car team. Like I said, Lee Filter Gutter Protection is the primary sponsor. Celsius is our associate sponsor, and Salt Life and Knuckle Hydrate. So we got great sponsors, but it's definitely a single car team right now.
Okay. Do you, and this I think is probably a question really that all single car teams could have. I don't think this really relates to how much experience or how much they trust you. Not having a partner at a racetrack like a Daytona or a Talladega where you don't have that built-in team partner, is it easy to find somebody to work with, or do you find it somewhat more difficult?
I think it's pretty easy. I've made a lot of friends in the series over the years, and I know most of the drivers I'm racing around, and I think there's a lot of people that are willing to draft with me, and it works out good.
Good. And that's the important part, because when you think about tracks like that, and it's not like you go there, very often, but let's face it, you've already been to Talladega once, and, you got another Daytona date, if I'm remembering correctly, coming up here. So that's something that you got to work with. In there, you've also got road course races. And I know that there are some people that have been longtime NASCAR fans that they still feel like that road course is that outlier, and some people are really big fans of it, like myself. Other people really don't like it. What's your opinion on going to road course racing?
Yeah, I love the road courses. I love them. They're so much fun. I actually just got back in town yesterday from a road course school that I went and did in Vegas, the Ron Fellows school that Chevrolet sent me out there just to learn to be better on those tracks, and I love the road course races.
So 3 of them coming up on the schedule. Do you have a preference as far as track, or you're not worried about that? You just want to go?
Mid-Ohio is a big race for us just because that's where Lee Filter's corporate headquarters is. So we definitely want to be fast there.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, kind of feeling like it's the home track.
Yeah, definitely the home track for my sponsor for sure. My home track it would be Daytona or Homestead, just being that I'm from Florida. But Mid-Ohio is probably the biggest one of the year for us and our sponsor.
We have seen this, and we mentioned it last weekend, the ARCA Series race. We had a gentleman on that was running in the ARCA Series races named Joey Jatina, and he's from the Birmingham area, and he kind of admitted to having feeling a little bit nervous when it came to running at Talladega because he wanted to do so well at a track that was so close to his own home. Do you feel any extra pressure at a Daytona or a Homestead Miami?
I don't think I feel extra pressure. Probably just more confidence that a lot of people in the stands are rooting for me, being that it's my home track. I'm from there, and I also love Homestead. It's probably one of my favorite racetracks. I feel like I've had success there in the past, so it gives me a lot of confidence. So no added pressure, though.
Wonderful. That's the proper way, I think, to look at it, because I think you can build it up, and feel free to, correct me in any way, but I think if you build it up in your head to be something that's so big that knowing that you're so close and family and friends are coming to see you, that might dominate your thinking process and not allow you to get into the race and actually drive it the way that you should.
Yeah, absolutely. You just got to keep focused. The mental game is a big part of it, so you just got to keep your mental focus and do the best you can.
All right, so driver of the number 11 Chevrolet Camaro, talking with Blake Cook, driving for Cowlig Racing. Leaf Filter, you've mentioned your sponsors, and they're good sponsors, no doubt about it. And when it comes to racing throughout the rest of the year, we're going to be keeping an eye on you. There's no doubt about it. We wish you the best of luck from here all the way through. And if you have the opportunity, and we'd love to be able to talk with you again, Blake.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Anytime. Blake Cook, driver of the number 11 Cowlig Racing Chevrolet Camaro. Good luck the rest of the way, and we'll be watching for you to make the chase at the end of the year.
All right. Sounds good, man. Thanks a lot. See ya.
Blake Cook, driver of the number 11 Chevy Camaro. We'll have to see. I mean, he's sitting right now just outside of the chase, but he's constantly fighting up there. We were watching him over at Talladega, and if it hadn't been for a couple of things that were out of his control, he could have been a player in the race last weekend.
Yeah, he was running that top side right where Joey Logano smacked that outside wall coming to that start-finish line. And there was really nothing Blake could do. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time, but he was running extremely well. He would have had a great finish, but glad to know that he's doing extremely well. Fireball coming across that start-finish line at Talladega.
Yeah, no kidding. Back into the news here. Camping World Truck Series could have a very familiar name in it, should reports prove to be accurate. NASCAR.com recently talked with 2000 Cup Series champion Bobby Labonte. He's kind of semi-retired from the Cup Series, runs in selected events since the end of the 2013 season, mostly plate tracks, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Labonte, though, has still some goals. He would like to grab his first Cup win in over a decade, but also possibly Camping World Truck Series. Bobby Labonte won the 1991 then Busch Series title, and as mentioned, the Cup Series title in 2000. Should he actually decide to go ahead and race in there and be lucky enough to claim a truck championship, he would become NASCAR's first ever Triple Crown winner and gain a championship in each of the top three divisions of NASCAR.
That's actually a cool thing.
That's an interesting goal.
I would pull for Labonte in a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
If he had the right gear.
Labonte did say that there are some workings in the background, but nothing imminent at this time. He does have some experience in the Camping World Truck Series. He's got 10 starts to his credit. He actually also has a win 2005 in Martinsville, so he's got a grandfather clock, too. So
he does.
Pretty happy guy.
If I were him, I'd be one to go talk to maybe Kyle Busch Motorsports. Maybe
sure.
Go ahead and run one of their trucks.
Yeah.
Maybe put another truck on track.
Apparently that's the class of the field.
That's where you need to go, Bobby.
Several news outlets in North Carolina reporting an arrest warrant has been issued for a man following a December crash which seriously injured a member of the Joe Gibbs Racing organization. Michael Dale Kellison has been charged with careless and reckless driving, driving while impaired, and having an open container in his vehicle following a crash that seriously injured Joe Gibbs Racing spotter Chris Osborne. It caused injuries to other members of his family as well. Kellison was slated to appear in court this past Tuesday on those charges, but didn't show, which resulted in an issuance of the arrest warrant in Trinity, North Carolina. Osborne, who spots for Daniel Suarez in the Camping World Truck Series, and Matt Kenseth in the Sprint Cup Series. I'm sorry, Daniel Suarez in the Xfinity Series. Matt Kenseth in the Sprint Cup Series suffered a compound fracture of his right leg, among other injuries, and in recovery was not able to return to his role in NASCAR until they went to Martinsville just a couple of races ago. It took a long time for him to be able to get back up on his feet.
People.
I know.
Stupid.
How many times have we talked to people about drunk driving, and you still are freaking clueless?
Yep.
Former NASCAR Cup Series champion turned television announcer Jeff Gordon has announced plans for the first ever authorized book about him. Not an autobiography, but Gordon is working closely with New York Times best-selling author Joe Garner on a book that is slated to be titled, quote, Jeff Gordon, His Dream, Drive, and Destiny, unquote. Gordon issued a press release through his personal website and said, in part, quote, I purposely waited until I retired from driving so the book would encompass my entire career. It's actually the second collaboration between the author and driver. Go back to 2006. They put out a book entitled Speed, Guts, and Glory. It highlighted some of NASCAR's biggest moments in history. Gordon narrated the video chapters in the book. This biography of the four-time Cup champion, slated to be released October the 18th. It is said to be available through stores and online, including jeffgordon.com. CMT, which used to stand for Country Music Television, I don't know, might still actually stand for that.
Collaboration.
It seems like any kind of country movie television that they can possibly put on there. But even then, it's not country. I started flipping through there because I wanted to record this, and I started looking at some of the things that they're showing. They're going to be showing this weekend the entire Back to the Future trilogy. How's that country?
I don't know. Maybe it's turning into country montage television.
Because they don't need roads.
Oh, is that what it is?
Maybe.
Going off-road, baby.
I was thinking.
Way off-road, like in the air off-road.
Yes.
Anyway, they're working up an original documentary, the first part of which will air Sunday night. It's entitled NASCAR, The Rise of American Speed, a three-part series. It's termed as a docudrama. Means it's going to be using interviews and archive footage from races past, but also including some recreations for moments that either were not filmed or the film has been lost to time. They'll give viewers the kind of the feel of how some of these moments went down. The story, co-produced by Dale Earnhardt Jr., going to go back to the beginnings, like Raymond Parks, Red Vogt, among others. Also going to introduce the viewers to the man who brought it all together, Big Bill France, who was a driver turned founder and some would say the iron-fisted ruler of NASCAR. The first episode, again, airs this Sunday evening, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central Time. The second and third parts coming May 15th and May 22nd.
I'm looking forward to this.
Yes.
That's on my list.
I've got the DVR set up for it, ready to go.
Must be nice. My DVR's broke.
Yeah, that's a problem for him.
Yeah. Got to get a new DVR.
Good luck.
I will.
In addition to the France family, by the way, the documentary has interviews with current and former drivers, including Jeff Gordon, Kevin Harvick, Tony Stewart, Darrell Waltrip, Joey Logano, Matt Kenseth, and, of course, the King, Richard Petty.
You can't have a docudrama without the King.
Absolutely not. While the first episode is reportedly about NASCAR's early years, the final two episodes, they say, will concentrate on the 1980s up till now, which marks the rise of NASCAR's popularity into becoming the second favorite sport behind football in the United States, and that's based upon actual event attendance and television ratings as well. And then there's this story.
Oh, this one.
It appears the name Earnhardt is being contested between the widow and the oldest son of the late Dale Earnhardt. Teresa Earnhardt has long been very protective of the late NASCAR Hall of Famer's name, brand, and trademarks, and is attempting to keep his oldest son, Kerry Earnhardt, from using the name in order to market the homes that he and his wife are developing. Kerry and his wife, Renee, are assisting Schumacher Homes in order to design and also in some promotion efforts. They call the residences the Earnhardt Collection. Future plans are also to add a line of furniture to their offerings, and they do this in about 14 states in and around the southeastern part of the country. However, the widow, Teresa, has filed an injunction and an appeal in federal court citing U.S. patent and trademark infringement. That office last week, by the way, denied the first challenge. She claims that it could cause confusion among people who think that the homes and products could be endorsed by the late Dale Earnhardt or by her in submitted testimony. She did not appear in person for the hearing, however. Kelly Earnhardt Miller did appear on behalf of her half-brother, said that no one has confused the name or the products of the Earnhardt Collection with their other half-brother, Sprint Cup driver Dale Earnhardt Jr., so why would they therefore think that Dale Sr., who passed away in 2001, or Teresa, who's been pretty much unheard of since Dale Earnhardt Incorporated was folded up into Chip Ganassi Racing, would have any part in this either. Before you comment,
I'm being quiet. I'm being quiet.
It gets better or worse, as the case may be.
But wait, there's more.
Yes, there is. Kerry has said in interviews that he has zero relationship with Teresa and has not since he was fired from Dale Earnhardt Incorporated back in 2011, right about the same time that he began this working relationship with Schumacher Homes. Neither Kelly nor Dale Jr. have commented on their relationship with Teresa, but I'm getting the funny feeling it's probably rather chilly, too.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Now, is this stepmom Teresa?
Stepmom, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
None of the three, Kerry, Kelly, or Dale Jr., are the son or daughter of Teresa. Stepmom to all.
Yeah, so she marries Dale Sr., the man, the myth, the legend, the one.
And feels like she becomes the owner of the name.
Yeah, now she gets the name. She not only destroyed Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, she destroyed that completely and totally. And I'll tell you flat out right now, Dale Sr., he would be turning over in his grave right now.
He probably is.
At the way that Teresa is mentally unstable in the fact that she is attacking his children because they use the name Earnhardt. Newsflash, Teresa.
It's their name, and it was long before it was yours.
They were there long before you, and they are still there and going to be there long after you.
You know, I really hate it when Dustin holds back. It's
just
bad.
It's so stupid. I mean,
agree.
she kills DEI. Like I said, she kills that. Dale Earnhardt put his blood, sweat, and tears into building DEI to what it was, and she took it and demolished it. And now, because it says the Earnhardt Collection, I'm sorry, let me see. That is yes, it doesn't say Dale Earnhardt Senior Collection. It says Earnhardt Collection. Kerry Earnhardt Collection makes sense to me. Shut up, Teresa.
Any comments to add over there, John?
No, I think you summed it up pretty well.
That woman is so off her rocker, it's not even funny.
She's so far off the reservation, she can't see the reservation.
Can we just send her to Canada when everybody else goes after Trump wins? Can we just pack her along with everybody else? I'd love to. Can we stick her in a suitcase?
Why not?
We can make a part of the Earnhardt Collection.
The Earnhardt Collection now is luggage, but beware of that one suitcase right there. It's got Teresa in it.
I tried so hard to get him, and I finally got him.
That's nice.
That was good.
That was a good one. Over to Verizon IndyCar Series Racing. Dale Coyne Racing has announced they've signed Pippa Mann. They're going to pilot one of the racers for this year's Indy 500. Since it is the historic 100th running of the event, most teams are pulling out all the stops to ensure that it's going to be a full 33-car field. It looks like they're going to meet that goal easily. Mann's going to mark her fourth straight year running for Dale Coyne at the Indy 500, and is going to use the ride to highlight her #GetInvolved program, which raises money for the Susan G. Komen Foundation for Breast Cancer.
Awesome.
Another driver signed to run this year's 100th running of the 500, going to be an Andretti Autosport now 5-car team, should all qualify for the event. Townsend Bell has that one-race deal to team with Marco Andretti, Ryan Hunter-Reay, Carlos Munoz, and rookie Alexander Rossi. He'll be attempting to make his 10th career Indy 500 start. Bell going to be driving a number 29 Honda-powered entry, sponsorship coming from his longtime backer, California Pizza Kitchen, which is owned by his friend Robert Graham. Officials with the Verizon IndyCar Series have announced that they are close to finding a venue to replace what is now the defunct Boston Grand Prix. 2 courses, one a road course, the other an oval, are in final running to take the place of Boston. They are Watkins Glen and Gateway Motorsports Park being considered at this time. The selection likely going to be based upon which venue is more likely to also host in 2017. Officials with IndyCar feel Watkins Glen, with its recent repave just completed, is likely more race-ready for the series because Ed Carpenter reportedly did a test at Gateway's Oval not too long ago, said that it had some issues that would need to be addressed for IndyCar before they could go there. Details weren't discussed with media as to what those issues happen to be. Expected decision possibly by the time we go to air this time next weekend. I'm hoping they go to Watkins Glen. I can't wait to see the repave on this. NASCAR is going to get there before IndyCar does. And there's talk about them running that boot, that area that they've closed off. IndyCar would almost certainly run there.
Yes.
NASCAR's problem with it is the fact that in order to do that and keep the length of the race as it is now, the fans that are sitting along the front stretch, they wouldn't see the cars as often. Right now, they're seeing them over 90 laps. If they added in that boot, the extra section of the track, which adds a little bit more than a mile to the actual length of the event, it would drop the number of laps from 90 down to about 60. I don't think that's as huge a problem as everybody thinks it is.
It's not a very huge problem at all.
No, so I hope that they do it, and I hope they open up that boot.
Watkins Glen is definitely the ultimate choice there. I mean, the repave, the place looks gorgeous. I've gotten a chance to see some of the pictures.
I've seen some preliminary pictures, but I want to see cars on the track. That's what I'm waiting for.
I want to see some videos, see some cars on track, but Watkins Glen is just a great facility anyway, so it's going to be, all bets are off. It's Watkins Glen.
Yeah. 5 current Verizon IndyCar drivers going to be getting a bit more airtime this summer. They have been selected for an upcoming edition of Celebrity Family Feud. ABC Television going to air a special limited run of the noted game show hosted by comedian Steve Harvey beginning June 26th, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central Time. Talked about it a little bit on the Entertainment Roundtable. The exact date of when the drivers is going to appear has yet to be announced, but when they do, the driver lineup will be Elio Castroneves, Tony Kanaan, James Hinchcliffe, Will Power, and Connor Daly. It's also known that the 5 are going to face off against Sports Illustrated swimsuit models. They include Nina Agdal, Samantha Hoops, Tanya Mitsushina. Also, you got Robin Lawley and Hannah Ferguson. In each of those special summer primetime editions of the game show, celebrities playing for a charity. For the IndyCar drivers, they're going to be playing for the Indy Family Foundation, set up to help those in motorsports or related to them who are in financial need due to illness, death, or injury. Great cause.
Great cause. No clue who any of those swimsuit models are.
Does it matter?
It doesn't?
No.
You know what I want to see, though, Family Feud-wise?
What?
I want to see Formula One, Team Hamilton versus Team Rosberg.
Hold your breath on that one.
Yeah.
When we get back, we'll continue to talk about IndyCar, transition to Formula One, other stuff, and we'll talk to a guy we haven't talked to on the air in a couple of weeks. Late Model Mark.
Finally, there he is.
Yeah, he finally showed up. We'll get into all that in the final half hour of the fastest hour in radio next.
You're listening to the fastest hour in radio on Superstation 101.
We are well into 2016 and race season, and you still haven't stopped smoking? Seriously, come on! The time is now to get your health back on track, ditch the cigarettes, and start vaping with Wild Vapors. Whether you're taking fast turns like IndyCar or running the NASCAR Oval, don't miss the pit stop at Wild Vapors in Sylacauga. There's nothing quite like burning rubber, but that doesn't mean you have to keep burning the stogies. You can get everything you love about smoking without a blowout to your health. Wild Vapors mixes a signature formula for their own brand in an off-site clean room facility using only the highest quality USP ingredients. They leave out dangerous additives like sucralose and diacetyl, only mixing the purest vaping juice on the circuit. You don't want your favorite team to run on dirty gas, and you sure don't want to buy juice from some backyard mechanic. Trust the team at Wild Vapors to provide you with the highest quality vaping products in the race. Find the healthier alternative to smoking, making your next pit stop at Wild Vapors of Sylacauga today to get the checkered flag. In the Sylacauga Walmart Shopping Center or their Alexander City location, 256-369-2569. Stay on track with Wild Vapors.
Ryan Newman wins the Goodies Fast Release 500.
Hi, this is Ryan Newman. Being a race car driver has its perks, yet I can't think of anyone who deserves better service and support than our nation's veterans and service members. That's why VA and DoD have created eBenefits. eBenefits gives fast-track, 24/7 access to the military and VA benefits and information you need most. Go to www.ebenefits.va.gov or just do a search for VA eBenefits.
Brought to you by the Department of Veterans Affairs.
Hey, this is Late Model Mark from Talladega Short Track. You are listening to the fastest hour in radio show here on WYDE 101.1 FM.
The only show that covers NASCAR, IndyCar, and Formula One. The fastest hour in radio on Superstation 101.
Welcome back in, listening to the fastest hour in radio. Got 30 minutes to go, and we'll try and get everything in. One more note about IndyCar here. We got a new book about the Indy 500 set to hit store shelves just in time for this year's 100th running. It's entitled Indy 500 Memories, an oral history of the greatest spectacle in racing. It's a book authored by Art Garner and Mark B. Spiegel, details the memories of drivers, crew members, car owners, race officials, media, celebrities, fans, and others as to their experiences with various Indy 500s over the course of time. In all, they have some 150 interviews included in the book, which goes on sale here just a little bit more than a week from now, May 16th, officially. It's going to be an interesting book. Might have to try and get my hands on it. That said, something that hasn't happened literally in years for Indianapolis Motor Speedway when it comes to this year's Indy 500. They've announced they have sold out all reserve seating.
Yes, all sold out for the Indy 500 grandstand seating.
100th running, man. And I'm here to tell you, you look at the racing in the in IndyCar, and it seems to be getting better and better here over the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get some on location updates from my friends that will be there.
Please do. I would love to hear about that.
Yes.
Speaking of on location, the man who will be out at Talladega Short Track tonight. I wish I could be there, but unfortunately I'm going to be on the road to Texas for a rather sobering moment. But that said, late model Mark, trust us, as we go throughout the course of the season, Dustin, John, and I, we're going to be fairly regular fixtures out there at Talladega Short Track. How are you?
I am fine and dandy. I just feel so regal and melancholy after that music. It just rings to my heart. But
it's how we feel about you. It's from the heart.
Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks. I've been really, really super busy. Just call me Mr. Potato Head because the chip thing is out of control, which is great. But
that's all right. Nothing wrong with that.
You know, I was listening to your show earlier. You want to double check the results from the NHRA, the Top Fuel in Houston. And the Pro Stocks, they run the full quarter mile, not 1,000 feet.
Oh, do they? Okay. See, this is still the learning process for us. I'm here to tell you, it's still the learning process for us.
check those results for Top Fuel again, and make sure you're on top of it right there. But, hey, last Saturday night, guys, we got rained out Friday after practice. Last Saturday night, a good word to describe it would be epic. We had 152 cars. And we had 104 late models, the highest car count in the United States in 2016.
Holy moly.
It was something. In the super late model division, Jason Hyatt won his first ever Southern All-Star race, and he is undefeated in 8 straight appearances at Talladega. He lapped all the way up to 9th place in a one-caution 40-lapper. In the Neesmith National Great Late Model Division, we had 49 cars with stars from all across the region and the country, and it went 50 laps all green, and Michael Page out of Douglasville, Georgia, won it in the squeaker. You know, when you run a 50-lap race in 13 minutes, you got to deal with a lot of traffic. And
you've done something, man. You've done something there.
He was like a LASIK eye surgeon, and I'm not going to go through all the classes, but I do want to mention the class that Garrett was in, the Hot Shot.
Yeah.
They had a full field of 24 cars, and I'm telling you, those guys the last 4 or 5 weeks, guys, have put on probably the best racing. And Garrett squeaked one out a couple of weeks ago, but this one Saturday night was just off the hook, and it was like 4 cars going for the main event, and it was just something. Our former track champion, Josh McBride, came out of a short retirement to win a absolutely epic duel at the end. And I heard Greg call in, and, you know, once in a while I playfully call him Greg No Luck Lloyd, and because he's had absolutely no luck, guys. He either gets run into or has some kind of mechanical issue, and it's going to straighten out for this fine guy in the future. But we just had a great night, and we, like I said, 152 cars, and we finished up about 11:45, which wasn't bad, and we had a great crowd, and they were into it, man.
Fantastic.
They were into it. They were from about 30 different states, a couple of foreign countries, but looking forward to having you guys come on out. And, you know, I know you guys are busy and have a life other than this and all that. And, Dustin, you're the man. I want you to come out here. Do you want to come out tonight?
You know, let me get back to you on that. I have a lot of work. Steve has actually helped me out, but I might be able to come out there tonight. Maybe I'll bring my son Nick out there.
Okay, just call me, and of course, John, the offer is good for you too, sir.
Actually, it's unfortunate. I appreciate John doing this, but John is accompanying me to my mother's funeral out in Texas, which is why I can't make it tonight, and John's going to be with me.
I understand. My condolences, my brother.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
One other thing before I go, because I want to go home to my missus. She's got breakfast cooking. So
I got you.
No shock there.
What you got?
I understand that the last front-engine Indycar that qualified, and I believe that would be 1980 at Ontario Motor Speedway by the late Jim Hurtubise, has, from what I hear, been restored and might be doing a couple of practice laps. That car, I have a picture of in one of my old magazines. Those front-engine roadsters, man, that's when I first started watching them. That's good stuff.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they start breaking out a number of the things from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum and start putting them out on the track.
Yeah, can you imagine if they had Jimmy Clark's car out there?
Oh, do it.
Rear end. Oh, that would be just killer.
Love to see that. Absolutely.
All right, guys.
We appreciate it. Late Model Mark.
Having a great show, and love you guys, and I'll see you when you I'll see you when you get out to the track. Bye.
Sounds good.
Hey, buddy.
Make sure that you get online, find out TalladegaShortTrack.com. Find them on Facebook as well at Talladega Short Track and all the other places, because racing tonight, and if you've never been out to the Hornet's Nest,
You got to go.
you got to
You
go.
have to go.
You must go.
Fantastic stuff. All right, that being said, speaking of things that you have to do, if you are a smoker at this point in time, quite frankly, you have to drop them.
Yes.
Because for your own health.
Yes.
We have a way that make that transition easier for you.
You know you want to quit. You know you have to quit. It's a win-win for you, because you can go down and talk to our friends Shelly and Eddie Bowman at Wild Vapors in Sylacauga and in Alexander City. We talk about them every single week. Great friends, great information, great products, top-of-the-line products. They test all of the products that they bring in before they even sell it to you to make sure that everything is working exactly the way that it should. Not to mention, when you walk out of the store after you make that purchase to better your life, to go with the healthy alternative and get away from those nasty cigarettes, when you walk out of the door, whatever it is you get, mod, whether it be the dripper mods or the tank mods, you are going to go out of the door with it working 110% and you knowing everything there is to know about the workings of it. That's what they do. That's how they run business down there at Wild Vapors in Sylacauga and the Walmart Shopping Center in Alexander City, right there at the corner of Central Alabama Community College. Great juice lines to choose from. Remember, no sucralose, no diacetyl, none of that extra junk that you don't want in your vape. You want the healthy alternative, that's the place to go. Give them a call today, whether you're in Alaska, Europe, wherever you may be in the world. You can give them a call and they can get products out to you. 256-369-2569. Check them out on Facebook as well. They always put up great information. Visit facebook.com/wild.vapors.5. But the best thing you can do for yourself, give that call today. 256-369-2569. Stay on track with Wild Vapors.
Grill them, ask them all kinds of questions, do business with them. They'll do business over the phone and through mail and help you out in any way they can. Dropping over to the Formula One racing series, Red Bull Racing deciding that they needed more of a showcase from their drivers, so they switched out one of the drivers for one of the Toro Rosso racing pilots. Red Bull returns Daniel Kvyat to the Toro Rosso series, Toro Rosso team, following a bad showing in China where, as we detailed earlier on in the show, he got into the Ferrari of Sebastian Vettel not just once but twice in the first three turns. It's an incident that also caused damage to the other Red Bull of Daniel Ricciardo, so it resulted in the organization leaving China with 0 championship points. Replacing Kvyat is the parent is former Toro Rosso driver Max Verstappen, all of 18 years old. The move prompted Red Bull Racing boss Christian Horner to say this, quote, "We are in a unique position to have all 4 drivers across Red Bull Racing and Toro Rosso under long-term contracts with Red Bull, so we have the flexibility to move them between the 2 teams. Danny will continue to his development in a team he's familiar with, giving him the chance to regain his old form and realize his potential. The change is effective immediately." If you listen to when we did the points rundown, though, Kvyat's actually ahead of Verstappen in the overall points.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Not really.
Awesome.
Not really all that certain why this was made, except probably Kvyat.
I was kind of confused.
Ticked somebody off at the home office. I guess.
That is exactly what I was getting ready to say. Somebody made somebody mad, and now we're seeing this because it didn't make any sense. When I saw it come down, I thought it was a joke at first.
Yeah. And there are other drivers in the Formula One paddock that are not happy. Jenson Button, when he was told about it, he went, "Really? They made that change?" I mean, he was quite visibly and audibly amazed that they made that move.
Yeah.
Well, good luck. I guess we'll find out. Mercedes officials talking about the up-and-down weekend they experienced in Russia while Nico Rosberg claimed the pole and his 7th straight win dating back to last season. His teammate, two-time defending champion Lewis Hamilton, actually somewhat struggled from the time they unloaded as racer. They had an engine problem, or several of them, throughout practice and qualifying. But team officials did give an inclination as to how far they went to fix those problems for the weekend, and that included some help from Formula One head Bernie Ecclestone. How, you ask?
What?
Get ready for this. First, the team put the first engine of the season back in the car, with a new turbo system overnight from qualifying, where he placed 10th to just before the beginning of the event, along with getting a new fuel system, which had to be put on a chartered flight that came from the United Kingdom in order to be able to make it in time for it to be installed in the racer for race time and keep the team from being in violation of the rules that are related to engine changes, which could have meant Hamilton, instead of starting on 10th on track, would have had to start from pit road and effectively last in the field. Here's Ecclestone's role. Ecclestone's role was getting priority clearance from the flight from Russian officials to be able to land in Sochi, and helped speed the item through Russian customs, and then convinced Russian officials to clear all the roads from the airport to Sochi's course in order to ensure that the part made it on time, which it did just a couple of hours before race time. Meanwhile, Mercedes officials state that they don't know why Hamilton's engine had problems at both China and Russia. They just stated that it was the same problem both times.
Is Ecclestone
nice to have pull?
Yeah, well, if he's got that much pull, how come he can't work the F1 series right?
Oh, we'll get back to that.
We clear roads in Russia, but we can't fix cars in series.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah. Would he do that for anybody else, though? It was for Mercedes.
Well, that's the question.
If it was Red Bull, Toro Rosso, Sauber, Haas F1,
Banner.
Would he do that across the board for each and every one of those teams?
Yeah, if you're going to do it for one, you make sure you do it for all 11.
I'm going to say no, he would not.
Well, we'll find out, because I imagine this will come up again. Honda officials beginning to warm up to the idea that they can be more involved with Formula One. They have stated that they could supply more teams under Formula One's new engine agreement if they're called on to supply more than just the McLaren team. They state they're capable and willing to work with up to 2 more teams. Honda, of course, returned to Formula One just last year in their first season back in almost a decade, filled with technical issues. They seem to be starting to get those all figured out this year. But at this time, there's only 4 engine builders, and Honda's only one supplying a single organization. The 2017 regulations do call for a, quote, obligation to supply rule, which means McLaren may have no choice but to share Honda engines with another team or maybe 2. Honda officials state that they're currently working towards 2017 based upon the idea that they will be asked to do just that, but they state no deals are imminent and no talks are taking place.
That's a mess.
Bernie Ecclestone, the aforementioned guy, was asked by media in Russia what he felt about 2 proposals for driver protection supposed to be in place for the 2017 season. Ecclestone, referring to the Halo concept, which was mocked up by Ferrari and tested by Mercedes, run during testing leading up to the Russian Grand Prix. And then Red Bull's got their own idea. It's called the Aeroscreen concept, which is somewhat similar to Halo in that it has a ring that runs around the top of the cockpit, but it's also got a clear windscreen all the way around as opposed to the big bar in front of the driver. Ecclestone said that he doesn't like either one of them. Quote, to try to simulate something where you've got a stationary object and you're trying to fire something at it, well, in the race, when a wheel comes off, normally both cars will be moving. So how can you simulate it by having a car stationary? How would you ever know what is going to happen with the wheel anyway? If you hit the thing, it would probably bounce off anyway, so I don't know. So in other words, you ain't got enough information. So do us a favor, shut up and let them do more testing.
I like that thought process, Steve.
A German racing magazine is also reporting that any form of cockpit-mounted head protection might have to wait another year. Formula One has said that they want a system in place for 2017, but Auto Motor und Sport magazine is reporting that it might not be feasible until 2018. 2 concepts are being considered. We just mentioned them. They have been tested extensively. They will be put to the F1 Commission in order to make their choice as soon as they can figure out which one that they actually want to use. But the magazine says that it is now too late for the commission to make their decision that would impose a rules change in time for 2017, unless there would be a unanimous vote among all parties involved. When was the last time we heard of a unanimous vote in Formula One?
When
right.
was no.
Yeah. The report states that, quote, F1 Commission decisions after April 30th can be introduced no earlier than 2018, unquote. A unanimous vote seems quite unlikely, given Ecclestone's comments just detailed, the fact that Mercedes and Ferrari working up the Halo concept, you got Red Bull championing the aero screen, and who knows what everybody else is going to be talking about. Good grief. Ecclestone also asked about the progress on a possible second U.S.-based Formula One event. He said those plans are struggling. Formula One boss did mention Las Vegas, Nevada as the possible host city about a month ago, but he didn't reveal any details. Now, we might know why. There aren't really any. Ecclestone wants a street course. He wants to utilize at least portions of the famed Las Vegas Strip in all or in part. It has city leaders concerned since the Strip is, well, it's the centerpiece of the city now, and tourists constantly walking up and down through that thoroughfare, so they state that a race would disrupt the ability to have those tourists up and down longer than just the event in and of itself.
Yeah, that is a good point.
So,
I mean, it would actually help maybe with the gambling population for a few days. Maybe save you a couple $1 million that you're going to lose the blackjack table, but I see what they're getting at because the place never stops. It's always open.
Yeah.
There's always people there. Doesn't matter what time of the day or
24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
They're losing money.
Constantly.
So
why would you want to give that up? And the tax revenue that comes with it.
Yeah. But I mean, there's a lot of tax revenue or a lot of revenue that could come in during a race weekend. But if your people can't leave the race and go gamble that night, that doesn't help you either.
Nah, it's true. Pirelli planning a tire test set to utilize 2 Ferrari elements as the Italian tire maker begins to work on the new 2017 tire specs. They're going to take a 2014 Ferrari F1 racer, so we know that they're not going to get any, good stuff for this year out of secrets from it. The team's main reserve driver, not one of their 2 main drivers, so they're going to use Jean-Eric Vergne as opposed to Vettel or Kimi Räikkönen. And they're also going to use the Fiorano race circuit that's near Ferrari's headquarters in Maranello, Italy. Pirelli, what they're trying to do is check out the durability of the compounds that are going to use for the 2017 tires since they're supposed to be bigger. Here's the thing. They're going to use the compounds for next year in current size tires. So really no manufacturer can learn anything about the new size until all the teams have the chance to do that tire test later on this year. Basically, Pirelli is only checking out how the compound works. So we don't even know yet how the new tire is going to feel much at its new size. Man, they're creeping up on this thing slowly, aren't they?
Snails move faster.
Yeah, I agree. Late model Mark had mentioned we needed to double check everything. I will say this. The results that I got from last Sunday's Houston event from the NHRA, I got straight from NHRA.com. So if I was wrong, they were wrong.
I'm on there right now.
And?
Doug Colitto won.
Oh. Huh. Well, like I said, if I was wrong, they were wrong.
Maybe they updated it. Says Doug Colitto and his Mac Tools dragster with the win at temperatures. I didn't realize how much information they actually put on this page. But apparently Colitto is 10-4 against Torrance in prior events, and Torrance is 1-0 against Colitto in prior final rounds.
All right. Well, congratulations then to Doug Colitto. I got it wrong.
Steve Torrance appreciates your support, though.
Thank you very much. Meantime, notes from the NHRA event in Houston. Courtney Force notches her first funny car win in 2 seasons. She got it last Sunday, again over Tim Wilkerson. It's the 8th win of her career. Doug Colitto. Here's the second part of it, so I didn't put the 2 of them together. Wins in Top Fuel marks his 39th career win, tied for 4th in that series all time with Antron Brown and Kenny Bernstein. Legend there. Following last week's Houston event, the NHRA announced their new chief starter. It is kind of a guy who was an interim starter for them for a while, Mike Giddings. He took over when longtime chief starter Mark Lyle passed away unexpectedly earlier on this year. Giddings had been the chief starter for the NHRA's Northwest Division. He is a certified member of the NHRA Safety Safari presented by AAA. He also now officially becomes only the 4th chief starter in NHRA history. Follows the legend Buster Couch, who was in that role from 1955 through 1996. Rick Stewart held the spot through the 2011 season, and then the aforementioned Mark Lyle took over until he passed away, attempting to save a friend who he thought was drowning, and indeed was, in the... he was just off the coast of Mexico over by Baja, California, if I remember correctly, and unfortunately in that process he lost his own life. But Mike Giddings is the new chief starter. FIA Formula E news, Nextev TCR not going to be needing a substitute driver for the Berlin round after all. The race, still 2 weeks away, will feature Oliver Turvey after all. Turvey had been scheduled to run that same weekend in the Super GT Championship Series event in Japan, but earthquakes have plagued that region recently, and it caused the event to be postponed to a date that we do not know. And Turvey will now be allowed to run in Berlin. Both the driver and officials with Nextev TCR did express concern for the people affected by the earthquakes. We do as well, because that area has been rocked here over the last few years.
It's been kind of weird with the earthquakes here recently.
We've had a few in the Birmingham area.
We were at Talladega Super Speedway last weekend. We had one just south of Bessemer.
I think it was, yeah.
I believe, if I remember correctly from the map.
No, it wasn't huge. It wasn't like a massive earthquake. It was like a 3
You
on the
probably
Richter
would have
scale.
felt a quick shudder.
Yeah, really.
And that's about it. But these people...
That you could have chalked up to the 18-wheeler that went outside your the road on the
and it hit a pothole.
Right, exactly.
But these, they have been nailed with stuff lately with the earthquakes and typhoons and everything else.
So, yeah, we do pray for them, no doubt about it.
That is sure.
Formula E's plans to run a Moscow E-Prix have been scuttled, according to the sports website. FIAFormulaE.com states that the planned June 4th event on the streets around the Kremlin have been scrapped because of unforeseen circumstances based upon recent Russian authorities enforcing road closures for whatever reason in and around the Kremlin. Vladimir Putin's ticked off somebody. At this time, it appears the series is not going to replace the event with another race on or about that date. So what we're left with, well, we'll get to the details of that in a moment. Officials released a statement that said, in part, quote, "While it is unfortunate news not to race in Moscow June 4th, we looked at a number of alternative options as a replacement, but we're not able to find a viable solution for that specific date." CEO Alejandro Agag said that several options were explored that included going back to Monaco, but the notice between now and said event date was much too short to be able to make it work, so the season is now officially 10 races, not 11 races long, as the final weekend in London actually features doubleheader, one race Saturday, another on Sunday, July 2nd and 3rd, to wrap up their second season. You're working on something over there.
No, I'm not. No, because it was a bad joke.
I like bad jokes. Come on.
This is a really bad joke.
Come on.
I know why. I know what's up with Putin. I know why they don't want to have the Moscow race.
Because Putin's not driving?
No, because then the Germans would invade Moscow. And they can't have that.
That's partially, probably, you might actually have something there, and now that you mention it.
And they probably wouldn't let him be the honorary starter.
Yeah, that's also true.
I wave flag? No, you wait. No flag. I wave flag. No, no flag.
As opposed to, it's not big deal, this big deal.
Yes, very big deal.
Not happening.
Welcome to Putin talk.
Yeah, really. Poor guy can't ride his bear in there, bare shirted, and be the grand marshal of the race.
That's what it was. He wanted to ride a bear in. He wanted to be at the stand with the flag on top of a bear, waving flag.
No big deal.
Bare shirted. No shirt at all. Bare chested, ready
welcome
to go.
Welcome to Moscow.
Yes, welcome to Moscow. Best place ever for racing.
It's no big deal.
I can see it now. We've got a full course caution. The Russian military has stepped out on the track and have blocked the track completely around the Kremlin. We cannot race anymore.
Yeah, well.
Your winner is?
At least not in Formula E. We don't know. It's just going to be, at this point in time, we know that there are long gaps in between races in Formula E anyway that usually last anywhere from 3 to 5 weeks. In this case, it's going to be the better part of 7 weeks between the next race, and then it's almost messed up. It's so weird.
Complete and total chaos mess.
Yeah, pretty much. Welcome to the beginnings of a new series. Again, they're only in their second year, so they're still dealing with growing pains. All right, so let's get into tonight, shall we? We start to look at Kansas Motor Speedway. Found it fairly interesting. Watched qualifying yesterday. Of the top 10 cars that are in there, Kurt Busch, I think, is the lone Chevy.
Is that? Yeah.
There aren't many Chevys up there at the front. It's Toyota dominating. And actually a pretty nice showing. I got to give credit where it's due to the Fords, specifically of Roush Fenway Racing. They showed up very, very well in qualifying there. So if you're a Chevy fan, they're looking for something in the Chevy camp.
They have found something over there at Roush Fenway recently.
And they needed it
last week, and that we've been waiting for that. We've been talking each and every week about the fact that Roush Fenway, they have just kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
So it's a possibility. We're looking at this year that Chevrolet might not get that championship.
Chevrolet's, they're looking for something.
They need to find
over there
something.
as a whole. And I mean, they've done well, but they're still looking for that one last thing that's going to put them over the top.
Yes.
Because otherwise they might find themselves maybe losing to Toyota when it comes to the manufacturer's title, and wouldn't Toyota gloat about that?
Well, and that's the thing. We always talk about the fact that that all of these manufacturers can't rest on their laurels just because they've won, 37 championships Chevrolet
37, 38, something like that?
Somewhere. It's almost 40. So the thing is you're looking at that fact, and they've just kind of been on an easy streak because nobody else has been able to keep up with them. Toyota basically come out and said, smacked you in the mouth.
Yeah. And they've been making a big deal out of that. A couple of the reads that we were doing last year, or last week, at Talladega Superspeedway talked about the fact that they stepped up for the first time and, had their first champion in Kyle Busch. So Toyota finally has a Sprint Cup championship to their name as an organization. Now the next step is that manufacturer's title, which they have in the Xfinity Series, but they don't have in the Cup Series. So they're gunning for it. They want it, and you can tell. So with that said, I know that we usually do this during the After the Show, which we are going to do anyway, but you look ahead to tonight. Thinking about Kansas Motor Speedway, what's your thoughts on who might be hoisting the trophy?
Pass. You go first.
Way to just quit on that one, man.
I know. I need to think for a second. I need to gather my thoughts because I haven't had really great thoughts the past couple of weeks.
I'm going to go, with all due respect to Roush Fenway, which seems like they've turned up the wick. I don't think I'm quite ready to go with them just yet. I think they're still missing just a little bit something. I like what I see out of Trevor Bayne. I think that Ricky Stenhouse Jr. had a great qualifying run. Greg Biffle, I'm still baffled by. He's not really doing all that well. So I'm going solidly Toyota camp. And if you're going Toyota, you're going Joe Gibbs Racing pretty much. As much as I like Martin Truex Jr., I'm going to go to the Joe Gibbs actual camp. And I'm going to say that Denny Hamlin goes to victory lane.
I mean, that would actually be a
I think he qualified third, if I remember right.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I'm looking at the lineup right now, and as I'm sitting there looking at it, it's so weird not to see all those bow ties.
I know.
There. It is weird, but you're right. You kind of have to go towards the Toyota side.
Yeah.
Ford, that's just don't want to touch that yet. But I got to think that Martin Truex Jr. has had a lot of speed this weekend. He's looked good in practice. Of course, great qualifying.
Yeah.
I think that this might be that weekend that he goes from the pole to the checkered. I think he comes home with the win in the 78.
And I would root for that. I would actually be quite pleased with that, quite frankly. I think it would be a nice run for him. And in some ways, I kind of hope you're right because Denny Hamlin already has that win. But there's something about Denny Hamlin this weekend that I'm just looking at. It's like he's being almost too quiet. To me, there's something that they've got over there that they're not letting on.
I just don't want to see him waste a spot in the chase and screw it up like he always does. So,
well, he's already in there, so we ain't got no choice on that. With that said, we're going to take off. Don't forget tonight, abbreviated edition on the replay Saturday night, 8:00. But you got the full 2 hours tomorrow morning. Once again, Sunday morning, starting at 8 a.m. Dustin, enjoy it.
You too, brother.
Do it all again next weekend. John, you and I about to hit the road for Texas. That ought to be interesting. Y'all have a great week. Enjoy the racing.
See ya!